Salty Language presents The Enthusiast.
Welcome to a new episode of The Enthusiast. Tony will join me in a little bit here. I'm Brian, and joining us today is Dare Taylor. She's not the typical model you see on Instagram. She's currently the reigning Miss Bikini model for the United States and shows her gamer girl side on her popular Twitch channel called Dare Bear Live. Her popularity started at 18 when she landed the Playboy Slovakia cover. She then started her popular YouTube channel under Dare Wears right after and currently has 160,000 subscribers. She currently lives in LA working daily as an actress, but by night she works on her hugely successful Patreon and OnlyFans platforms. Yeah, so here you go. Hopefully you'll enjoy our interview with Dare Taylor. All right. Hi, Dare. Welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us.
Hi. Thank you so much for having me.
This is, it was really interesting because I follow you on Instagram, and, you know, I saw your story the one time when you were like, hey, I'd like to be on podcasts. And I was like, and we've wanted to have someone who does the whole, like, online modeling, like, hustle and everything that you're doing. And I call it that completely out of respect, you know, because like, I know, like, your link tree's got, like, 900 links in it and such. So, you know, like,
no shame in that, though.
Yeah, no, it's good. I'm
like,
just, no, it's, you
Shots
just,
fired.
you seem like a very busy person.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. We're 2 minutes in and I'm being roasted. I love it. Okay. Great.
No.
Yeah, I totally love, first of all, that you call it like online modeling. That's probably the most respectable term I've ever heard for what I do, and I totally appreciate it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, oh my gosh, yeah, because it's hard to put a label on what I started Instagram with. I've been on Instagram basically since it was like invented and thought up. Like I've been on it for a long time, and I've been through a lot of different phases of my life with my page. Right now, if you go and look at it, it just is filled with pictures of me in swimsuits and me acting and me doing all these things. So I appreciate that you put like a nice label on it that was positive. Because a lot of people are like, why are you naked on Instagram? And it's like, I'm not, I swear. Like, it's not me.
Instagram doesn't allow that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Which is a pivoting point for other girls that kind of do. But I basically started off with my Instagram as a post implied pictures, which means I would kind of cover myself in certain areas. And artists would reach out to me and say like, hey, I'm doing a sculpture and I need to see the female form in order to sculpt it properly. Can I hire you? And so I would stand there for 3 hours and they would kind of sculpt what they thought I looked like. I've done it for cartoon artists, like illustrators, video game production. I don't know technically what their term is, but I've done it for a lot of like video games as well when they need a female figure. So that's what I started doing. And then it sort of kind of grew into all these other platforms, which is why my link tree is kind of... It's like a link forest is what it should be called.
Yeah. Yes.
I got a link forest. Check it out. You'll get lost in it.
Right.
Yeah. And I did put out a post being like, hey, if anybody's got a podcast and they want a guest, I would love to be on it because I like to talk and I like to meet people. So
fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. The podcast game has been picking up a lot lately, but it was kind of slow for a while. And I honestly find like my best connections through people having a show and they want someone to pop on and just talk a little bit. So I was like, hey, it's me throwing out the line. If you need a filler, I'm here. I'm ready.
Right.
So I'm curious why you asked me. So I can't wait to hear.
Well, we've talked a lot on our regular show about like OnlyFans and Patreon and all that kind of stuff, and how at first it was one of those where when it first happened, because everybody, of course, would be like, well, it's like, well, why would you pay? There's nudity all over the internet for free and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
And it's been equated to like, going to a strip club or whatever, that it's, more tease than this and that. And so some people very much, and I'm sure you know this, obviously, that, have a very negative attitude toward it. Whereas we've always been like, hey, get it if you can,
Exactly.
like,
Go get that money.
Yeah.
Exactly. I appreciate that outlook. That's awesome. So I feel I'm glad that you are allowing a platform for women that do have Patreon and OnlyFans, or men that do, to actually talk about it, because I find myself actually, when I am reaching out to different places and trying to network, I find that there is a lot of negative stereotypes with it, that, oh, well, you're an online stripper, or what do you know about anything else? Or we don't want that type of reputation. And it's funny because there are so many like fitness trainers, personal chefs.
Yeah.
I know somebody that teaches public speaking through OnlyFans.
Really?
Like, it's not, oh my gosh, yeah. I'm technically on her course. But
well, I know, like that was the site of the point of the site originally was it wasn't like this is just like nudity or whatever. It was literally for anyone who has something that there may be fans for, much like Twitch or Patreon. That it was just supposed to be another one of those sites, and it's just kind of now much like like when Snapchat came around, it was like, well, it has this and this and this, but everyone's like, oh, it's just for the disappearing nudes.
For nudes,
yeah.
Right.
I wonder who figured out OnlyFans. Like, wait, I can be nude on here. Hold on.
Well, that's the test of everything.
That's true.
Any new technology, the first thing you do with it is, can I put nudity on it?
I mean,
How far
VHS
can I
versus
go?
beta, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, OnlyFans, I actually was on it before it popped off. So it used to not have like the pay-per-view messaging. And I was on it for like a year and a half. And I had an OnlyFans and a Patreon for a long time. And I had a photographer who gave me the worst advice. And he was like, you're dividing your audience by making them choose between Patreon and OnlyFans. You should totally delete your OnlyFans and just go with Patreon. That's where you're making more of your income. And I, being dumb and listening to somebody who had no business giving me advice, was like, yeah, you're right. I should do that. So I ended up deleting it and just solely focusing on Patreon. Now, fun fact about Patreon is that it actually started off as a art website. So it was primarily for artists and the creative types that were either doing like sculptures, paintings. You could purchase their certain paintings by signing up for their tiers. You could learn how to do certain like arts and crafts through creators on there. And I don't know who was the first art nude model on there, but I eventually heard about it and jumped on it because, being an art nude model, I was like, well, it's still art. So I started doing that, and then I started diving into OnlyFans and deleted OnlyFans, and then came back to OnlyFans. So I've kind of been on both of them for a while now. Patreon for 4 or 5 years now. So I know the sites pretty well.
Yeah, that was one of the things that I appreciated, like when you look at your posts again, with following you on Instagram, you post kind of like, hey, check this out on my YouTube and check this out on Twitch. And it's not you just going, here's the same content on every platform. I appreciate that you diversify the stuff. So people can kind of like, which part of you is it that is their favorite, and then kind of follow, or follow all of them, which we highly recommend. So,
hooks in the water. You got a lot of hooks in the water.
Yeah. I like the fact that you're, like you said, you're modeling, acting, you do, you have the Twitch, channel, all this other, so you're doing so many things with the different irons in the fire that I think it's really cool that you weren't just like, I'm only going to laser focus on this and that's it,
Definitely. It definitely has its ups and its downs to it, because I find myself being not exhausted, but there are times when I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, I made a TikTok yesterday being like, if you're on this page, I don't know what I'm doing. So like, if you're enjoying yourself, leave me a comment, because I don't know what to do anymore. And I had like over 100 some comments being like, we like your page, so don't delete it or don't do anything. But I initially just started off with Instagram, and I grew up watching YouTube. And I always knew I wanted to have some sort of creative YouTube page. So I started that in 2012. didn't really know where I was going with it until I did a try-on haul. And of course, everybody went nuts. They were like, oh my gosh, look at this girl in a bikini. She looks great. So I sort of transformed my channel into just like a try-on haul channel. So primarily it was angled for women, but a lot of guys are on there and they like the views. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, sure.
Well,
Bring 'em
guys
all in.
guys on the internet do not like looking at women in bikinis. Come on now.
No, that's absurd.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Yeah.
Never heard of the idea.
Right.
But yeah, so I started YouTube in 2012, and I guess I didn't think anything of it, and people are always telling me like, oh, YouTube's a waste of your time, and it's not going to get you anywhere. And I just kind of was like, well, I grew up watching it, and I really enjoy it, so I'm just going to do it anyways. And now I'm at almost 170,000 subscribers, and I'm like, this has brought me a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Seems like you're doing okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I kept doing it. And it sort of just kind of branched into the next thing. So YouTube was doing really well. And then TikTok, I heard about like 3 years ago. And one of my friends was saying like, hey, seems to be popular. We should get on it. So then I started doing that. And I grew up playing video games. So I was like, I want a place to play video games and just not really worry about numbers. Well, I joined Twitch and now my page is almost at 5,000 followers. So yeah, I kind of just put myself into everything because there's always going to be like a cult following that are diehard Twitch people or YouTube people or Instagram people that will like kind of stick to those staples and they won't budge. They like what they like.
Yeah.
But sometimes you get people that like it all and really like you. So they'll follow you on all platforms. And I highly recommend diversifying, especially because Instagram is starting to really put the nail in the coffin on some of these online models. And
yeah, I've noticed.
Eliminate us.
Yeah, I was gonna say they haven't quite pulled the like Tumblr move, but they're getting real close with it. I've seen so many people post like what post it was that got pulled down and they get suspended, and it's like that's not even close to bad. Like I don't even understand. Not that any of it's bad, but you know what I mean. Like that's not like some egregious. It's not like a full-on nude or a spread or something. That's like whoa, that's aggressive. But it's nothing like that.
It's usually very tame. Yeah, it's usually like a pretty tame thing. Like I think the last time I got dinged with something is that I did kind of a funny one where I was pretending to moon someone and I was wearing MeUndies, which is a very popular brand. I love their underwear, and I've been trying to get them to sponsor me forever. So I was like, I'm gonna make this really cute thing where I'm pretending to like flash someone my MeUndies, and I'm sure it would get their attention because it would get, people would go crazy for it.
Right.
And it got taken down for bullying and harassment, and I was like, what? I was like, no, it's not bullying.
Wow.
It's underwear.
Wow. You must have a very aggressive backside, I guess, then, if it's bullying.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. My booty offended people, apparently. So, yeah, I've sort of tamed down what I do, especially on Instagram.
Yeah.
And to me, it's not worth losing something that I've put in for years. Like, I literally had an Instagram in high school, and this is the same one. So for me, it's like, you know what? I'll post different things. Like, if they're going to pivot and change what they do, it's our job as content creators to go, okay, they're pivoting. We either go with it, or then we have to respect that when it gets deleted, it's because you went against the rule.
Yeah, very much. Absolutely right.
Yeah.
This is, for anyone listening who hasn't taken business courses, a lot of this is like very basic, like business stuff, it's adapt or die. It's why when you watch a product that's been around for a long time and people are growing tired of it, and it's like that's why if there's no new flavors of a chip or something like that, sometimes these things just disappear because people have pivoted away from a taste or whatever. So yeah, it makes sense. Like you said, your job is to keep swimming in the ocean. So
I'm trying to wrap my head around the bullying.
Oh, I know, right? I can't get my head around the fact that MeUndies doesn't sponsor you, because I've heard them on all sorts of podcasts that have not a lot of listeners and stuff. I mean, it's mind blowing to me that they wouldn't want.
If you know a hookup, you just let me know. You got my email. Or if anybody listening knows somebody at MeUndies headquarters, you tell them my butt is bullying people.
Right.
You should just sponsor me. It'd be great.
Maybe that's the problem, is they were like, that is too aggressive for us. Like
too much butt.
Yeah.
Too much.
Someone reach out to Dave MeUndies right now.
Right.
There you go. Funny enough, I actually got a call back for a MeUndies audition. And they were looking for, what was it? It was like looking for an active, fit young girl to talk about why she loves MeUndies. And they sent me kind of a script of like what I would be doing if I were to get the role. But they wanted an on camera, like, oh, what do you like about MeUndies? Like they wanted a spontaneous, just chat at the camera, talk about why you like MeUndies.
Right.
And I was like hook, line, and sinker. Like, this is it, baby. Like, let's go. So I did my whole audition, and I talked about how they put out this Wonder Woman line of MeUndies and how much I loved it, because people always say I looked like Gal Gadot, which I don't see it, but I'm like, you know what? That's cool. I like her. I respect her.
There's definitely way worse people to be compared to as far as looks.
Right, exactly. So I was super excited, sent off the audition, and heard nothing back from it. So I was like,
what a bunch of bastards.
That's amazing. Like, here you are, a genuine person, like, you know, like, this is, you're like, yes, you know, like a real, like, this is right in my wheelhouse. And it's not what we're looking for. We want someone who's more real according to the script.
Right? I was like, man, that stinks.
Wow.
Like, I'm just trying to get MeUndies' attention. So if anybody's got a hookup, you let me know, because I would happily email them and be like, wanna do sponsorship?
Right.
It'd be great. Like, yeah, my viewership's primarily male, but they buy for their girlfriends.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I get
who
a
doesn't
lot
like
of that.
comfy underwear anyway?
Right? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Right.
they got good stuff. Maybe I'm giving away too much sponsorship for free. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah,
They know I talk about it a lot, so they're like, why pay her?
Yeah. You're
She's
right.
already working for us. She just doesn't know it.
Yeah, right?
I mean, they could at least send you some product occasionally then, you know.
I know, right? And it's weird because people used to always tell me like, oh, you should seek out sponsorships for YouTube. And I just never like thought about it and never really like jumped on the bandwagon until all of a sudden I was just getting hit constantly with emails from all these different brands wanting to sponsor. And I actually, which this is a new thing, but I'm now in a contract with Dolls Kill, where every month they send me a box and I do sponsored content for them. And it's awesome. I have them. Zaffle Bikinis is another one. Like, I'm just shocked that these companies like go out of their way to find talent now and are willing to pay creators.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It makes so much sense. I remember when, you know, the whole influencer thing kind of was really on the swell, you know, that, and at first it was kind of like, okay, whatever. But then it's like, the more you see it, it's like, it's so smart because you can pay X amount of people smaller money and get hundreds of thousands of looks on Instagram or whatever the platform is. And, you know, versus putting a commercial out that's only going to get a narrow window that we'll all scroll right past in our Instagram feeds, you know?
Right.
So it's like, it makes so much sense. I was actually going to ask you how much sponsorship stuff you do, because, you know, it's something you see a lot on social media now, is a lot of posts about, you know, like people just more so looking to be influencers than anything else. And I've never got that vibe from you that you're like, oh, I'm just about pushing brands, you know, like, other than your own brand, of course, which you should, you know, push. So.
Right. Yeah. I don't really have a lot of Instagram. Well, I have a few on Instagram that will like come through, but I'm really picky about what I choose because I feel like these companies are so quick to throw money at anybody who's growing consistently and for somebody who they think they can make a lot of money off of, which is smart on their end. But I also don't like misguiding people. I wouldn't want to take a sponsorship that I myself wouldn't purchase the product.
Yeah.
So I do get tons of emails about, like I just got one for TikTok the other day, which was pretty crazy. I never knew that TikTok sponsors were a thing.
Yeah.
But I take my time, and which is why, like, if there are any companies that happen to come across this, I don't get back to the companies like right away because I like to do my due diligence and see, like, you know, look up the company. Where's the products coming from?
Yeah.
Is it good quality? Do people generally enjoy the product? Is this something I would purchase? So I don't have like a huge list of sponsors, but I have ones that I really like, and I like the way that they do business. I like what they stand for, and I like the clothes.
Yeah. Well, sure.
Really.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that thinking. I like, I like podcasts that do the same thing. There's some that that you can tell they will just read, and that's fine. I'm not knocking anybody.
I mean, that'd be us. Let's be honest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we've said before.
Definitely not.
Yeah,
we don't do that.
Yeah.
No.
But I appreciate the ones that also are very much like, hey, we've had friends that are podcasters that like a vaping company reached out to them and they don't vape and that's not something they're into, and they were like, hey, we can't push this. This isn't us.
Right.
So
Right.
I very much appreciate people aren't some people are just. I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm being derogatory. I don't want to call it like a money grab and stuff, but it's
you don't want to knock people. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Brian, the term you're looking for, Brian, is sellout.
Yeah.
No. Yeah. Literally sellouts.
Yeah.
It's such a hard balance because you want to make money at your craft and you want to, especially to become an influencer. Like you said, everybody now wants to be an influencer or a content creator, which is shocking to me because I've been doing it for so long that I'm like, why is it now like the big craze? Like it's shocking to me that people weren't on board with it when I started.
Yeah.
So which I'm thankful I did. I started when I did because I feel like that's what's giving me the upper hand is people are already seeing the big follower counts. So they're more willing to follow and see what I'm doing. Or if I were to make a course, people would be willing to join because the numbers are already there since I've built the foundation up so well.
Yeah.
But it's really hard to tell like new people like, oh, we'll only take what you are passionate about when it's like that might be the only option right now.
Exactly.
If this company's offering you $300 to talk about something and you're like, I got to do it because I need the money.
Right.
So I'm actually eventually looking to building my own course and teaching people how to manage their real life job and start building a foundation for like being a content creator or a social media personality because it isn't easy. Like I worked 7 jobs when I was 16 at one point. Like I didn't just like happen to fall into this. My family didn't have money. Actually, to be honest, my family's been calling me up saying, hey, you got any money you could split with recently? I could use some help, which is kind of an interesting switch on the dynamic. Yeah. But I really want to teach other people how to do what I do and how to do it well.
That's really cool. Cause you're right. It's like I said, originally is that we've always had a lot of respect for the grind behind doing this. Yeah. It's not just, so many people are like, well, I could just, like any profession, right? Like, well, I could just be, I could draw that, or I could paint that, or take that picture, or I could be an OnlyFans model, or I could, whatever it ends up being. And, it's like, yeah, you can, but not every OnlyFans account has, 10,000 followers or 100,000 followers or whatever the number is, you see, people who do try it because they think that, and then it's like, oh, this is a lot more work than I, assumed. Same with podcasting.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't imagine like podcasting. Like I haven't delved into the podcast realm quite yet. I've always wanted to, but I feel like long form content is slowly just kind of leaving the space. So it's like, if you're going to do a podcast, it has to be good. It has to be entertaining. You have to have guests. You have to have a place. You have to have the technology to back it. So I give anybody who's got a podcast major props because it's not just sitting down and I'm going to cuss, but sitting down and shooting the shit, It's got to have some sort of draw to it, some sort of interest. But I think the biggest misconstrued information about like starting your own business online or starting an OnlyFans is like you said, that people do think it's easy. There was this trend going around TikTok where it was all these girls with these huge follower accounts showing how like their payout tab on OnlyFans. They were showing like, I'm making $20,000 a month and let me teach you how to do it. And which in a perfect world, that would be great if we could just all sign up and make tons of money.
Yeah.
But
I was like, where do I log in at? Sign me up, please.
Yeah.
And a lot of girls got like not tricked into it, but misguided into it, and just thought that in 1 month I'm going to make that amount of money. and it totally didn't work for them. And I, being somebody who, like, I'd like to be on TV shows, but I'm not on any TV shows. I'm not on any, like, news stations currently, which hopefully I will be soon. But, like, I'm not really known for being anything right now. I've literally built myself up just from social media and from putting myself out there. So I feel like if I know how to do it, I can teach others how to do it and how to have a good mindset about that. It's not a race. It's a marathon. It truly is a marathon.
Yeah. Yeah. We run into the same thing talking with, like, I'm in various, like, Facebook groups with people that are just getting into podcasting, you know, and they're like, oh, well, you know, what tips about, and we're always like, do it because you love it, because odds are you're not getting any money anytime soon. You know, if you do, awesome, but odds are you won't, because, you know, and this last year and a half has really hurt kind of like small podcasts, because now every celebrity has started a podcast. All the, you know, and it was already, there were tons of, like, comedians and stuff in the space, but now you've got all sorts of actors and all this other stuff out there now too, to where it's like, you know, when I talk with people, I'm like, hey, what podcast do you listen to? And they name them, and I'm like, wow, those are basically like the top 10 podcasts on iTunes, you know, and it's like, oh, that's too bad, because there's so many people out there grinding, trying really hard to get their stuff out there. But you just, like you were saying, though, it's like, you know, if fill in the blank popular actor says, hey, I'm starting a new podcast, boom, instant audience. You know, like you said, they could make a lot of money from their podcast because they already have it built in, you know, and some people will say that with comedians, you know, how some of them have done really well, and they're like, you know, and it's like, yeah, but even some comedians have, you know, like Joe Rogan had a big built-in audience when he started. Adam Carolla had a huge audience when he started. You know, so you can't compare yourself to them. You've got to move yourself down the ladder a little bit to where it's a little more reasonable. That
you're basically opening up a lemonade stand.
Basically, you're not wrong.
Yeah. Spotify's not backing up the $100 million dump truck to most people when they start, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, podcasting, I can't, like, it's like when all the celebrities joined TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, it's such a weird thing now, but it kind of makes sense, because if you already have the platform and the following, and you can kind of, like, pay people here and there to jump in and, like, oh, well, I need someone to help do tech for it, or I need a set design. If you've already got an income, of course it's going to be easier to start all of these things. And if you've already got an audience, you're going to make your money back like that. So it's like a quick investment. You know, you put in a little bit and here you are making a lot out of it. And I do think that obviously, like, celebrities are going to have, like, a lot of interest and diehard fans, but sometimes, you know, I personally don't listen to the Joe Rogan podcast because it's not my market.
Yeah,
I feel like
I don't either. So
I feel like he's primarily, you know, going for the same type of guy that he is.
Yeah,
and that's what he's pitching, like, preaching to or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
But, like, I find it kind of exhausting to listen to celebrities because we see them on TV all the time.
Oh, God.
We see them everywhere we go. They're holding up a bottle of something, trying to promote it to you because they got paid by the brand.
Yeah.
So I personally don't listen to any celebrity podcasts because, to me, it's like, yeah, the behind the scenes is always interesting, but there's tons of NDAs. So you're not going to get anything out of them that is like, oh, that's really interesting to know that, like, on that set, this happened.
Yeah.
You know, so you're just kind of getting a glimpse into their life, which is great, but I like to listen to people who have struggled. Like, tell me about your struggle. I like to listen to people that are, like, passionate about, like, podcasting or yoga or meditation or whatever they're talking about. And I also like to hear what makes them human. I like to hear when they're frustrated about things. Like, oh man, today was frustrating because I went to go get my passport and I couldn't do it because you have to make an appointment 3 months in advance or something crazy. And I like to hear about those things because it makes you seem more relatable. And it makes you seem more like you care about them and you want them to succeed. It's just like in any movie. You know, you see the character and they make them so relatable to you and so like, oh yeah, I've been in that situation. I like this person, and you want to see what happens to them. Same sort of concept with podcasts.
Yeah.
You want to hear, like, the redemption or the success, or
absolutely.
how that moment brought them to a realization. So to me, I see what you're saying, that, like, celebrities can be very competitive and they'll have their diehard fans, but I feel like people are now starting to kind of be done with the keeping up with the Kardashians. They're kind of
I hope
over
so.
the Ellen DeGeneres show. And
Yeah.
they're more interested in like somebody who's in their basement, you know, just being like, man, today at the office was bad because XYZ, but I brought in this person to talk to me, you know, just something different. We want something different and relatable.
Yeah, I agree. My favorite ones to listen to end up being the like storytelling ones that are out there, where people get on a stage and they just tell a story and you know, just bare their souls, and whether they're funny or heartbreaking or whatever they are, and it's like, whoo, you know, those take in a real roller coaster ride. But like you said, if someone's telling a story and it's, you know, things are rough for them, you're like, man, I hope this pays off. You know, like it's got to pay off. It's got to pay off. You know, so
can't have a sad ending.
You hope not. Yeah, it does happen sometimes, but
I know.
Yeah.
And I understand why the celebrities are doing it too, though. Because
totally.
Like, you know, they're getting their paycheck from a Hollywood director, essentially, or a big company.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, like, this is why Instagram, like, really popped off, is that, like, all these celebrities at first were like, nah, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's dumb. I'm not going to make myself post and do all this crap all the time just because.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, these nobodies, these people that, like, haven't been in anything, haven't been on TV, haven't done, you know, they just were posting and were growing because the algorithm was favoring them.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden are now landing like Jimmy Fallon, Jimmy Kimmel. They're landing on all these big shows. Some of them are picked up to be in movies. Some of them are writing their own movies.
Right. Yeah.
And all these celebrities and all their agents are going, oh shit, like we got to get them. We got to get them on these apps and on these things, because if that nobody can gain this huge audience out of nowhere, we got to keep up with it. So
we've got a whole stable of somebodies over here that we're doing nothing with.
Yeah.
Well, and it makes sense too, right? Like, you know, during the times when you're not doing a movie or a tour or whatever the person's doing, that you can fill in more income in that, you know, and you can give people that maybe, you know, like you said, maybe friends of yours, you can, you know, hey, I make $25 million a movie or something, but this guy doesn't make that much. So now, but by doing my podcast, he can help me with that. And now he has a stable income or something. Yeah. You know, so there's that. Cause I remember Kevin Smith did that a long time ago, you know, like most of the people he works with are his like longtime friends, and a bunch of them have jobs that, you know, and incomes that they wouldn't have had otherwise, you know, so it's a cool thing you can do. And it's, you know, I don't know. You know, I mean, it's still a hustle, because still every day you got to get up and go, oh, I got to post something today, or I got to do not a radio show, but a podcast or a whatever, you know, so, you know, there's still that element, I'm sure, to it, because like you said earlier, it was something I was going to, I guess we'll kind of pivot that way maybe a little bit, which was, the other day I saw you posted and you were showing your calendar. And you were flipping your calendar, and I was like, oh my God, like just how full this calendar was.
Yeah, like June is, I should show you what May looks like. This is a hot mess. All right. This is May, and these are like all of my things that are going on.
Holy cow.
Reminders.
That looks like a beautiful mind thing.
Yeah.
And then like June is like a lot more organized, you know.
Oh, nice.
It's a little bit, it's more peaceful. I've got everything color coded, but yeah. So I'm kind of a grandma in the sense that I like paper. I like writing things down because it not only helps me remember, but I also like seeing it. I've never been one to commit to like the Apple calendar, whatever it is.
I've only opened those calendars like twice on my phone in all the years I've had one.
I mean, I tried using my Apple Calendar, and it sends me a notification in the morning. I go, and I swipe it away, and I forget what it said. So
exactly.
It's like, what's the point?
Right. And like, I like having it on my desk, so then that way, every time I sit down here to like do whatever I'm doing, I just kind of glance over and go, oh, okay, yeah, I got this thing that's happening. But my schedule seems way more busy than it actually is because I'm actually taking an online kind of boot camp right now. That's basically, you talked about earlier that these are just like business tips. When I was mentioning just going with the flow. And I'm actually in a course right now that's kind of teaching us business tips, but it's also teaching us sales, and it's teaching us about how to pitch ourselves and land on TV, podcasts, radio. So it's been such a nice change for me because I haven't been in school since like, I don't know, 6 years, 7 years. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And it's been nice to kind of get back to a curriculum to like, okay, now I need to sit down and do my lesson. Okay, these are my homework, like tasks I have to do. I got to participate in the Facebook group or the email chain or whatever's going on. And
Right.
I highly recommend any social media like content creator or podcast owner or whatever you have, YouTuber, take an online course. Pay somebody else to be in their course to not only like add funds to the pool of like helping other influencers. It'll help you with networking because you've put money into it, and it's going to help teach you something that you didn't know. Unless it's a really bad course and they're not teaching you anything.
Yeah.
Careful who you're putting your money into.
Yeah,
but like,
do a little
find
research.
some way.
That would be the one I signed up for.
Yeah.
Oh no.
No.
Yeah, do some research. Ask some of your friends. Like, hey, are you taking any online marketing courses? Are you taking any influencer classes? Like, what have you learned from it? Do you think I could gain something from it? And even if they say no, the one that I'm in was $55. Like,
Oh wow. So yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
Yeah. It's interesting though too, because you think about not that many years ago, marketing classes, of course, and business, sales, all that stuff had been around. Those classes have been around forever. But the ability to find ones that are more about how to promote yourself, and incorporating social media into that is very, very different. So it's something that even if you've taken business courses and whatever, you probably won't have those skills, because using and navigating those social media platforms can be a real nightmare, especially if you're somebody who is hesitant toward them to begin with. We absolutely know a lot of podcasts promote via Facebook, and I hate Facebook so much.
Yeah.
I hate it.
It is trash.
But at some point I'm like, I probably should figure out
they
how.
want to sponsor us, then we love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then if they give you money, let's go for it.
Greatest thing ever. Yeah.
Oh.
I've heard so many great things about Facebook and how it can help you or like start your business or whatever. But to me, as somebody who got a Facebook in like high school, I never found it to be beneficial. With this group that I'm in, actually, we are utilizing a Facebook group. And I'm seeing now how it's kind of like, okay, I'm seeing how Facebook is a little bit beneficial now, because I have this huge collection of like friends and family on there that you can kind of, pitch yourself to and be like, hey, I have this thing going on. Do you have any advice, or do you have somebody that could help me get somewhere? So I used to think that like Facebook was like not really worth it until I took this course where it's like, Facebook is kind of like the Yelp reviews, all your friends and family are there.
Yep.
But you can directly ask them. And if you have some sort of like relationship with this person, a lot of times they'll help you with whatever you're struggling with, if that's like what they specialize in. So I kind of recommend going through your Facebook feed and, maybe you can find another person for your podcast, or you could meet somebody who does have a podcast that they do on Facebook, and you can ask them how that's going for them, and maybe it could be something for you.
Yeah, I'm just friends with the wrong people, because I take about 3 swipes on Facebook and I want to throw my phone out the window. The politics and the different opinions on Facebook is definitely something I avoid. I agree with the oof. You're on your way to the pharmacy.
I spend most of my time when I'm on there. I mean, aside from obviously, making posts for this, but I'm in a variety of like podcasting. Like some of them are, help groups, and other ones are just promotion groups. And the promotion groups are funny because there's basically no chit chat in there. It's all just people link dropping, and then so in the end you're going, this probably isn't doing any good, because
just get buried in a pile of
and the other one though is a whole different story, because people ask technical questions. How do I get guests? Hey, I'm new. What equipment do you recommend? Or, what suggestions do you have for new so there's all sorts of really good conversations in those. And those are the ones I gravitate to, because, we've been doing this like 150 years or so. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow, dang.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying. Honestly, I think the best way to maybe utilize that or leverage it a little bit is, I honestly would recommend maybe starting a YouTube channel and finding some way to put those answers, because you said like people ask a lot about tech.
Yeah.
People ask a lot about how to find guests, and you guys seem to have it down pretty well. I mean, you've probably had more guests than just me.
Smoke and mirrors. Smoke and mirrors.
It's all an illusion.
Yeah. You could totally make a YouTube video. So next time when somebody asks that, all you got to say is like, hey, I actually addressed this in my YouTube video that I made.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
That
is something, I mean, to turn...
I feel like I just signed up for a course.
Yeah.
There you go. See? Yeah, you could. You could make a course out of it.
I made your course, but...
Yeah.
Oh, my course. Yeah. Sign up for my course. Totally.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you guys have noticed on my page, but I'm promoting the Miss Bikini pageant because I don't know if you can see my sash back there, but I'm the Miss Bikini United States model. So right now we're 2 months out from the national pageant. Well, instead of like answering the same, like I get the same 6 questions every day from contestants. Like, how do I fix my model walk? What sort of bikinis should I be bringing? What is it really going to be like? And I took my vlog camera and I vlogged all of the 2019 pageant. So I have a YouTube video that's legitimately like, it's 10 minutes long. I understand that that's a lot of your time, but if you're going to put your money into something, you need to do your research.
Yeah.
If you're going to put your money into a podcast, you need to do your research. It's 10 minutes of watching the video and making notes of like, okay, I need this camera or I need this microphone. Or for the girls competing, okay, so I should probably bring lots of little snacks to eat because there's not going to be a lot of time to sit down and have a meal. Okay, I need to bring more than 3 bikinis. Who knew? I need to bring beach towels, flip-flops, like it's seeing and having that video ready like that is so powerful. And it's easy. It makes it so much easier for anyone to learn from a YouTube video. And not to mention, you can make money off of views from the YouTube video.
Right. Yeah, I noticed. Yeah, because you posted one, was it a day or two ago about heels, about telling the girls like, hey, get your heels ahead of time, practice walking, and I was like, that makes so much sense. So you're not, like a newborn deer when you first.
Oh boy, those videos make it makes me hurt watching them.
Yeah.
They fold up like a pretzel.
Yeah. And they just like, ooh.
It's
God.
Some girls give really bad advice that are like, don't wear your heels till pageant weekend. And I'm like, why? What does it matter? If there's a scuff on your heel and the judge is too busy looking at that means you're doing something wrong.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Your heels.
Dancing competition, man. Don't practice till day up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's so much bad advice that I'm like, man, I gotta get out there and I gotta start really like putting all that stuff away because wear your heels.
Well, not to mention
how much bad advice is deliberate sabotage. I mean,
who
knows?
There's my YouTube channel. I'm just gonna put bad advice out there to sabotage.
Just bad advice with Brian.
Well, no, you could flip it the other way, which is be like, bad podcasting advice and go over the bad advice. That's the angle for sure.
Yeah,
but,
definitely.
I appreciate though too, like with you doing those videos, it's like, and you're not, somebody can't go, well, she doesn't know what she's talking about because you, like you pointed out, you got the sash sitting right over there that says you clearly know what you're doing, so yeah.
And for a lot of contestants, they're like, every time I've had an interview, the big question that comes up is, why did you compete in 2018 and then come back in 2019? Like, why did you do that? And to me, that kind of adds to my credibility because it's like, well, just because I was second place the first year by like 2, I think it was 1 point is what the national director told me.
Oh.
Just because you lose by 1 point doesn't mean you give up.
Right.
Like there are trials and things that happen to you in life for a reason to push you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the big question I keep getting asked is like, why come back? And it's like, why wouldn't you come back?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you try again? And I think that this applies to like everything in life. Like, why wouldn't you try to make a podcast if that's what you're passionate about? Or why wouldn't you like watch this video and learn some things about it? Like, if that's what you're passionate about, why wouldn't you put some time into it? And I think fear is what really stops people.
Oh, it totally does.
Absolutely.
I do.
People are driven by fear.
I do another podcast, and it's me, my friend Jen, and our friend Henno, and we talk about like the fact that our like our struggles with like mental health issues and such. So we and I'm very much the fear person. Like I've had fear dictate too much of my life, and so I totally agree with you. It is, and once you let it get a good grip on you, it sinks its claws deep. So that constant fighting. It's another thing I really wanted to tell you I appreciate about like your videos is you always are like, I love your one the other day where it was like, just wear the dress, just if it's something you like, like if it's something you like and you bought it because you like it, just wear it, just do it. Don't worry about, and that's a great mindset for people, because there are so many who would get something and go, oh, I think I look really great in this, and then never wear it out because, someone else is going to say this or this, and it's like in the big scheme, it's like,
fuck those people.
Yeah, who cares what they think, right? Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, first of all, good job doing your research on me. You found all kinds of things on my page. I appreciate that. Shows you're paying attention.
Yep.
But
I'm nothing
also like
thorough.
Oh, wait, what?
I said I'm nothing if not thorough.
Oh, there you go. I think it's interesting that you talk about living in fear, because I actually too find myself doing things and thinking a lot fear-based. Like, well, what if this runs out? What if what if OnlyFans, Patreon, YouTube, what if they start tanking? And what if I'm not good? What if I am an imposter? Or if I'm not really preaching my message correctly? What if somebody calls me out on it? And it's so easy, like you said, to get caught up in the what ifs and the fear and like where is this going? And I feel like that for me personally, the best way to get over that is to like separate yourself from whatever is causing you to think that way. And just like go for a walk, do some yoga, get yourself outside, away from wherever that space is that you felt that way.
Mm-hmm.
And remember how awesome you really are. Like think about all the accomplishments you already have and what you've already succeeded and done with fear still in your back pocket.
Right.
And you can just kind of take that little fear monster out and throw him away and be like, you know what? If I was able to do that, I can do this.
Right.
Like, that was way more terrifying than what I'm about to do.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you. Oh, go ahead.
I was like, I'm going to take that snippet and give it to my girlfriend, because she quit her job about a month ago to become an artist full time, and every day she's terrified. That was very inspiring.
Yeah.
TikTok is where artists are thriving right now.
Oh yeah, she's doing great on TikTok.
Good. Oh my gosh, yay! I love that.
Mm-hmm.
I know.
Yeah, I think it's so easy. Like, obviously, you want to do things in a good, timely manner. Like, I didn't make money off of YouTube for a very long time, and I still don't really make a lot off of it. So I didn't like impulse quit my job and just do YouTube full time when I was brand new. You know, there's steps and there's phases to things. But if all you're doing is living in fear and scared of how things are going to go, you're not going to grow. You're not, people aren't going to be drawn to you. Like, you want to be doing and creating content or just living in your truth all the time and putting yourself out there as you. And I think that's like the big catch-22 about Instagram right now, is that everybody's giving me advice throughout the years, because in my little like OnlyFans group, I'm the baby. I'm the newbie, and I feel like so many people have given me advice that applies to Instagram, OnlyFans, Patreon, YouTube. Like, you need to be sexier. You need to show more. You need to post more often. You need to like stop, showing too much. Like, you post yourself without makeup. Why are you doing that? And obviously, I'm in a better OnlyFans group now because they all love and adore me. But
well, good, because that's
right.
Yeah, that's no good. Yeah,
eliminate those people.
Right.
But it's so weird to me that there's this double standard that's like, no, don't let people see how real you are.
Yeah.
And it took me a while. I'm like not going to sit here and pretend like I've posted unfiltered all the time, because it's not true.
Yeah.
But it's so good when you put yourself out there and you just are honest with people. And I think that that's great that you openly were saying that, like, you live in the fear.
Yeah.
Because now you're already taking that fear and like already moving it out of the forefront, because you're admitting it's there.
Yeah.
And you're admitting its existence and you're acknowledging it. You're saying like, hey, fuck you. You're here. I'm getting rid of you. And I think that that's so powerful.
It is. And you're right. Yeah. And it's amazing how doing that other podcast, and we talk very openly with, what we're struggling with and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And, initially it was tough because, I was still like, well, I'll put like 80% of my stuff out there. I'm going to keep a little to myself because, whatever. Now I'm pretty much putting everything out there because I really don't care if someone doesn't like it. It's like, hey, this is me. This is what I'm dealing with. And it's as valid for me to say how I'm feeling and what I'm going through as it is for anyone else to say those things. So, I'm very much more open about it. So it's been a great thing for me to do. And so many people are like, I can't believe you, talk about this or that. And I'm like, yeah, I just don't even think about it anymore. I've done it so long now that I'm just like, you just blah and it comes out.
Yeah. And people will relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, especially if you are so, like you said, it's so nonchalant. It just sort of comes out and you're like, yeah, you know what? Like, that's me. That's my truth. That's what I'm going through. Yeah. There's always going to be people that are shocked. And those are the people that have never noticed that fear was in their life.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are like, they know that they know that there's some fear in them and they do things, but they're not acknowledging it and they're not like calling it out. They're not sitting there going, oh, I need to get rid of this, or I need to be more honest, or they're kind of skating by and not taking the time to self-reflect and self-improve, which that's fine. If you're somebody out there and you're doing great and that's what you want to do, that's awesome. But don't shame others and don't put other people down for them being authentically themselves.
Right.
And I've had that conversation so many times with people telling me how to do what to do with social media, where like I'm saying, no makeup. You need to stop posting yourself all the time when you're not glamorous and you're not showing you in these luxury hotels. And I told them, like, you know what? I want people to see, that I don't live in a huge mansion.
Yeah.
I don't live in Beverly Hills,
Right.
I live in a tiny apartment and I love my apartment and I don't wear designer crap, whatever it is, like bags or t-shirts or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of that. Like, I get a lot of like, well, you should be wearing like more expensive things. Why? If I don't like the way it fits on me and I don't like it, why would I buy it and wear it?
I mean, it's true.
Right. And it's because of, like we were talking a little bit ago, it's about the smoke and mirrors part of that, and that you're supposed to be driving Range Rovers or real expensive vehicles and having that mansion and living that big, luxury lifestyle. And it's like, but
they
why?
want you to play a role when you just want to be you.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
and I think being more authentic, I know that being more authentic and just being honest has brought me way more followers, way more people that want to connect with me as a person, people that want to help me. I put out there the other day about how I want to do more podcasts, and you reached out to me.
Yeah.
You were like, hey, do you really want to do a podcast? Like, this is mine. Like, are you interested? And I didn't see it for a few days because I went in my pending, which I love when Instagram does that.
Yeah.
But like, you reached out and you were willing to help me and get me here. It's all about like community and helping each other.
That's the amazing part is I've mentioned how I live in, how fear has driven me, but I'm generally the one who books our guests for the show. And I'm always like, I'm always like, super nervous, essentially.
Have a little pep session.
Yeah. No, I'm not kidding. I do, because like I saw that post of hers and I had the DM pulled up and I'm like, and I just sat there for a few minutes before, because I'll be honest, like when it can be intimidating because we're not like a big show or anything. So, and I know sometimes
you will be.
I hope so. Yeah. I hope, sometimes it's one of those where when you're trying to get guests, you want to try to get interesting and cool people. That's all we do with the interviews we've done, or people we just want to talk to. Like, we don't necessarily like, hey, I'm looking to promote my new book, I whatever. So most of the time we're like, about those. So
yeah.
But when I look at follower counts at times, it's intimidating. Like I saw your follower count and I'm like, oh my God, like there's no way she's going to say yes. Like we're way too small potatoes for her to bother with, because, and it's kind of built in. A lot of podcasters are that way, but then there's others that I know and I've talked with in that group of mine. I forgot, there was one of the guys, I can't remember who it was. I'm not going to name drop anyway, but it was, it was a pretty significant get. And I know this guy doesn't get a lot of listeners, and he's a small, and I'm like, how'd you get them? And he's like, I just asked, and it was,
that is the key.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Honestly, it's literally just asking,
yeah.
And you never know where it's going to take you, and you never know that like that small instance could really boost your page or could help you find another person for your podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's, to me, which if you're not working with people that aren't like that aren't willing to like help out, lend a hand, support you, then obviously you don't really want them anyways. But like that's kind of how the whole ecosystem of social media thrives.
Yeah, right.
Like you'll find that your podcast and that things in your life are just going to thrive even more because you're asking people and you're having genuinely nice people, not to toot my own horn,
right.
But, you're finding good people to come be on it to promote, and you'll find that like your page will grow and things will go really well for you. Like it's allowing the social media networking to kind of come to you and to kind of make things work for you.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird mindset because we're always so afraid to ask. And it's like, I want to say it's almost like 9 out of 10. Like it's not, it's not rare to hear a yes. I feel like it's more rare when you get ghosted and get no's.
Yeah.
And then even then you kind of know like, well, we probably don't really want that person on the podcast anyways. Cause like, you don't know what they're going to say, or you don't know that they might not have a good mindset, or they'll maybe will only talk about themselves, or whatever the case is.
Right.
So it's social media it's such a weird, powerful thing. But
it is. When it works for it's good.
Cool.
Yeah. When it works for good, it's awesome. Yeah.
I mean, it's Spider-Man, right? Great power comes great responsibility.
It can be. You aren't wrong. Yeah. And you're right. It's like, if like when I look at the track record, most of the people I've asked have said yes. And we've had to really jump through some hoops to get things scheduled because of a variety of schedules and all that kind of stuff. That's really the hardest part. Asking and getting an answer from people is way easier, but getting it actually set up can be real
lining it up.
Oh man. I mean, we've had a couple where it's taken us 3 or 4 weeks to just work out the date because schedules change, and it's just it happens. And again, we're not paying somebody, so we're asking them to give us their time. So it's I want to we're always as accommodating as possible, because but it is just it's an interesting part of things, like you said, like when you ask, and that's really all you have to do is just ask. Now, there are, of course, like you said, with, models and such, there's people in the podcasting world that if you ask them certain questions, they play it close to the vest for whatever reason. It's, I've never understood it because I don't really feel like there's technically any trade secrets in podcasting as far as, like there's no real, like you sit down, you do your content, and you're done. There's no real, like maybe if you're an editor or something, maybe you have some tricks that work really well or something, but other than that, it's like.
Yeah. Could you elaborate more on that? Like, what do you mean? Like, well, to be asked certain things?
Yeah, there's some podcasters that are very open, like if you ask about whatever it is, equipment, how to get guests, all this kind of stuff. And then there's some that just will not, they don't want to open up about stuff. Like the one taboo in podcasting is essentially, and I don't mind this, is that like you don't ask for followers. Or like you don't go, how many listens do you get?
Yeah, how many subscribers do you got? Because,
essentially that's viewed as asking someone how much money they make, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of a no-no. Yeah, that, I've learned that over the years. Not that I ask people. I don't care. If someone asks us, generally I'll be like, it's this. I don't care.
That's so weird to me because I had recently, which I can't say what it was, but I had like a pretty big article that I had to do a Zoom meeting for where I sat down and they wanted to know some things about my OnlyFans because I have this, that marketing class that I'm in really taught me how to find my pitch and how I would pitch myself to different companies and to get more publications and stuff. And the first thing he had asked me as soon, like he was like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. Thank you so much for reaching out to us. We're really interested in your story. And I was like, great. Okay. And he was like, all right, I'm going to start the recording now. Are you good? Like, you ready? And I was like, yeah, awesome. And as soon as the recording started, he was like, all right here we have Dare Taylor, and she's super awesome. Reads my whole bio, and he goes, so Dare, how much do you make a month on OnlyFans?
Whoa.
And I was like, okay. And because it's for this big publication, of course I couldn't like dodge the question. So to me, it's like, I kind of get why a lot of these like online content creators maybe don't really do podcasts a lot, because you're not in control of what you're going to be asked.
Yeah.
I have had pageant media training since I was 10. And I worked at Walt Disney World for 3 years, so I know how to say no without saying no. It's great.
Right.
So I kind of know how to work my way through conversations if there's something I don't want to be asked. But sometimes it's better just to be like, you know what? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Just go along with it and get over that. And honestly, like, I now make sure when I do interview with people, I'm like, hey, let's avoid how much I make.
Right.
And let's avoid all these things, because to me, it's like having an exact dollar amount. People are going to be like, well, of course she doesn't have any trouble. She makes X amount of dollars per month.
Right.
Of course she doesn't. And it's like, no, fun fact about me is I was legitimately homeless at 18, and I was living out of my car for 2 weeks. And it was the scariest time of my life, but I didn't take any moment to really reflect on what was happening. I started climbing my way out of that spot. I started figuring out how to make sure this would never happen to me again, and I wouldn't be living out of my car.
Smart.
So if there's anybody sitting here who's like, this girl doesn't know shit, let me tell you, I know a lot of shit, all right?
Was it at least a spacious car?
No, it was a Corolla.
Oh, no.
It was a Toyota Corolla.
Tony, she lives in a small apartment and loves her small apartment. What makes you think she was a person that bought spacious vehicles?
That's true.
I like small things. But yeah, it definitely was a moment. And I think from what I've learned about people is that the people that have the most interesting stories usually have been through a struggle in their life.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And people that are usually the most kind-hearted and the most genuine people you'll meet have battled something, and they've
seen
learned
some shit.
Yeah.
And in like the best way, because it's that character arc. It's that, you know, facing the fear and going through something that just changes who you are, that makes you an interesting person. So I think that like the weird stereotypes about social media and like hiding who you are is just you may gain a lot of followers because you're pretty or you're smart or you give great advice, but I think the best way to really be happy with doing it daily or posting daily or creating content is just to, you know, leave it all out there.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Well, I like that too, because like if all you're doing is the smoke and mirrors part of it, at some point a strong wind can come in and blow all that smoke away, and then and then all of a sudden it's gone, you know, because you don't have any real substance to you. So I think it's very smart to do things the other way, because you're not just, you know, much like, you know, a lot of people, it's like, and I'm sure, you know, like in modeling and such, it's like, you know, as you age, certain things, you know, for a long time, it's like once you hit a certain age, it's like, oh boy, you know, or like figure skating or whatever, it's like, well, you know, once you're over a certain age, it's like, well, your career's over, it's time to figure out your air quote real life now, you know. And
you know, so many people have said that there's like an age, and that like, ooh, you're getting too old to do this, and it's like, no, I'm not.
No,
like, you can't let those people. You got to work with people that believe in you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Totally right. Yeah.
Yep.
Just keep toxic people away as much as you possibly can.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of times the people that are trying to put you in like, well, you're too old to do this, or oh, well, isn't this like a little immature for you? Like, don't you think you should be focusing on real things? I mean, yes, there is some validity to it that like, I was an agency model when I was 16, but I was always told like, oh, like if you're going to be an actress, you better start now, because once you hit 24, they're not going to hire you anymore, and you're not, you know, really young. And it's like, well, who's going to play the mom in the scene?
It's like, there's no reason not to keep going.
Yeah.
And trying, at least, because, you know, I've been told 8 million times, you're way too old to be on TikTok. Like, that's bullshit. It's hilarious.
It's always by me though. No,
it is.
Oh,
it is.
no.
It's not. I just no, I don't. I used to be more of the type that would kind of hate on that kind of stuff, but as I've
You were a troll?
No, not a troll in that, like,
Absolutely.
I wouldn't go online and no, like I didn't go online and do that kind of stuff, but I was
Right. He's like backpedaling real fast.
Yeah. No, but I very much was the type that, because of where I was, I projected that onto others, kind of a thing, you know. So, and as I've gotten better with my mental health, I've gotten a whole lot better about, you know, like, hey, if you like doing that, whatever. If it makes you happy and you're not hurting anyone, have at it, you know.
Right.
So, you know, like Tony being on TikTok, it's like TikTok is something that I look at, and I'm an old man looking at TikTok. Basically, that's the way I feel. I'm like, what is this confusing contraption? And you know, but it's like he seems to have a lot of fun with it. So
I mean, it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's like a TV show.
Yeah,
you just swipe to the next person if you get.
That's the only thing I don't like is you're like, oh, I'm gonna just sit here for a second, and then it's like, is that the sunrise? Oh shit, what happened?
It's crazy how it like envelops you in so quickly. But to me, it's weird. Like when you run across like a new platform, and you know, it was sticking a lot with like the younger kids, like 10 to 14, I think is what was really popular, and I think still kind of is. The best way to figure out that kind of content or what's working is to try to make a video, see what it is, and you don't have to like actually publish something. But just kind of like mess around with it. Like the only way you're going to actually learn how to do anything on any platform is just by giving it a shot and kind of goofing around, and then figuring out what does this button do, and what can I do with this video that I took, and how can I make it funnier. And I think TikTok has done a really good job of creating a YouTube space, but now that's mobile. And it's less, it doesn't cost anything. You know, you've already got your iPhone. Just film a video on your iPhone, and you're basically set, instead of having to get a professional huge camera, to hire an editor, to learn Adobe Premiere or whatever editing software. Like I know a lot of people talk a lot of crap about TikTok, and that it's, you know, like run by the Chinese government and all these different things, but it's really kind of taken what already exists to the next level. So
yeah, I think it was one of those, like, anytime there's a new platform, people immediately ridicule whatever it's being used for. And really,
absolutely.
And that period is that everybody's doing, like you said, everyone's, you know, just filming to try to figure out how to use this platform. What can I do with it? Because at first the videos I saw, I was like, you know, but over time I've seen some really creative stuff on there.
Oh yeah, there's some good stuff.
You know, again, I don't use it, but people will send me links that I end up looking at, and I'm like, wow, there are some very creative people on here. And
I'll journey to the dark side.
Yeah, you keep working on it.
Yeah, right.
One of these days you'll probably get me. I'm notorious for being slow to jumping on new platforms, except for Twitter. I jumped from Facebook to Twitter, like, as soon as Twitter started, basically, because I hated Facebook so much. And it was, you know, it was just simple. It was like, here's thoughts, 140 characters, and that's it. No windy posts or whatever. And then people started writing jokes on there, and I was like, okay, this is where I want to be, because this is kind of fun and creative. And now it's become a whole mess, but you know,
it's a whole different animal now.
You know,
I think Twitter though is a lot like Facebook in the sense that, like, you can eliminate people that you don't want to see what their thoughts are. Like, I don't really use my Twitter, and to me it's not a big deal because I don't see political stuff. Yeah.
That's actually what a lot of it became was, and that's where a lot of that problem I had with it was, you know, it used to be just joke, and then there'd be those intermediate other things. And I don't mind seeing politics and stuff like that. I'm okay with it, but now it's become, like, when I scroll my feed, it's just like politics, joke,
all the
politics, you know, it's like, ugh, you know, and
it's just weird to me that people are so my way or no way.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a weird dynamic. And, like, I usually tell, like, podcasts are like, let's just not delve into politics at all. But like, here's my blanket statement is it's like, you can believe whatever you want to believe. It doesn't affect me. It doesn't affect my way of life. If you like this person, great. If you don't like this person, awesome. But do we have to take a social media platform and say, it is this way, this is how I feel, and if you don't like it, get lost? Like, it's such a weird mentality.
It is.
It's like an extremist mentality.
It very much is. Can you picture, like, if in our conversations in real life are becoming that way at times too, and it's not a good space to be in, because that eliminates conversation and compromise and that whole gray area, which is where most things actually reside. They don't reside in black and white.
Absolutely.
It's that gray. So I'm with you on that. I've always followed things. I've had strong opinions, all this kind of stuff, but I also tend to not go on social media and rant about them.
Yeah. Right.
I just have my opinions and go vote accordingly.
That's about it.
Yeah.
The whole putting like a rant on something on social media or a certain topic to me has always been kind of foreign.
Yeah.
Because like even if something bad happens to you, it's okay to kind of like talk about it a little bit. Like I had a family incident where I was at a family gathering and part of my family like is really supportive of what I do and the other half isn't. So when I was there, some of the family members were coming up to me and being really nice, where others like went to shake someone's hand next to me, and I stood up and was like, "Okay, see you later," and they totally scoffed, looked me up and down, and left. Like I've had those moments where family don't really understand what's going on. But instead of making a huge scene on like Instagram or on Facebook, I just went to like my Patreon and OnlyFans was like, well, this sucks. Like, my family is very divided. And yes, I did make money off of that, basically off my misery.
Right.
That'll teach them.
Oh, this is weird. But, like, to me, it's like I didn't put this huge whole rant about, like, disrespecting women or disrespecting somebody who does something different than you all over all my social medias. Like, it's fine to express it a little bit, but I think just putting these absolute huge statements about my way or the highway is just, like you said, it's dividing people.
Oh,
and
boy.
Yeah. We all want the same things. We all want to be successful. We all want a great place to live. We want food. We want shelter. It comes down to the basic needs. It's like, why do we have to have this absolute mentality?
Yeah.
When, like you said, things don't fall in absolutes really ever. Like I can't think of a scenario that, well, maybe like in danger or
right. But again, those are extreme scenarios essentially that you end up in that. I know that's why actually you mentioned that or the politics part, and then earlier you mentioned it too, like the whole that's why I send out when I'm talking with somebody where I'm like, is there anything that's off limits, and like, cause we're not, like we aren't, this isn't, we never want anyone to feel like this is like a gotcha thing, or
we all want to have a good time.
Yeah, we just want to have a chat. We're not looking to expose anybody or,
we're not shock jocks.
Yeah. So I always want people to be comfortable and such. So, and also, like, with the, with the things that you do, I could see where maybe there might be some things where you're like, one of the things you mentioned to me, is like, and it's like, I can understand leaving some things off the table because they're just inappropriate or whatever. And it's sad that you'd even have to bring up that kind of thing, like nobody should be up in your business about money or various other hot topics or what. It's like, what are you trying to gain out of that other than just that soundbite? And I don't know. We're not after that. We're after a good conversation. We're out to, like maybe put some, eyes on what you do because, we appreciate what you do and such. So, it's so weird to me how that goes too. And I've heard podcasts where in the groups I'm in, I've actually seen podcasts where people are like, hey, I sent the file to the person beforehand and they don't want us to post it because, they feel like we kind of tried to trap them into questions or something. And I'm like, whoa.
That seems weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, if somebody said that to us, I would feel so bad. Like
that's really strange.
I would be like, I need to go listen to that again and figure out where we went wrong because that's not the attitude you want.
No.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, I guess maybe like don't do podcasts then because like you expect. Like, I had somebody that they sent me a list of all the questions they were going to ask me, and they wanted me to double check that all the questions were okay, and that they went out of their way to, like, go too far. Like, to me, anytime somebody sends me, like, what they're going to ask me, I don't even pay it mind. Like, to me, if I sit there and I read it, and then I know it's coming, and then whatever, it kind of like psychs you out, but then also your answer isn't going to be natural. You're going to sound like really robotic. You're going to be like, yes, I do have an OnlyFans and it's really gay. Like, it's not as authentic. And you'd rather a conversation just kind of go and flow, especially on podcasts. Like overthinking it is just, it kind of ruins the experience.
Yeah.
Then the audience can kind of tell, like, well, this sounds staged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, did I sign up for like a television show and a really poorly written one? Like, what's going on? Yeah. Like, what's happening here?
Hello, Dare. How about those pageants you do?
They're great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for asking.
Yeah.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah. That's why we never did that from the beginning. Like, I'll be honest, right here, I have a notebook where I'll, like, most of the time I'll kind of scribble down notes as we're doing things, but I have your name written down, the number of the episode, and I have absolutely nothing written underneath it as far as questions to ask you. You know, that's, you know, now I like you said, I had things in my head, and I kind of, you know, like where I kind of want to not really even steer the conversation, but to certain things I kind of wanted to ask or whatever. But like you said, I don't want it to be like, well, and I know there's some podcasts out there that that's considered good form. That way you don't get, you know how it is. Like if someone goes on like the Tonight Show or whatever, they get a list of the questions, or their publicist does or whatever for them to okay before they go on there. And I understand the concept of that. But then again, once you're sitting out there, that person, I mean, David Letterman was notorious for that, to where he'd be like, oh yeah, no problem. And then somebody would come out and he'd ask him something completely off the list, because he wanted that genuine reaction.
Well, that's the best way to go.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I like real people.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I understand why, like, it's good format to, like, send it. But usually, like, if I get something like that, I read, like, the opening, like, hey, do you mind if blah, 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 blah. I, like, scroll through the questions. I might catch, like, one or two and read it and be like, oh, okay, yeah, they're asking me some good stuff.
Yeah.
Look at the bottom, you know, see what they have to say. And, like, I feel like there's not really anything you could ask me aside from, like, how much money are you making?
Right.
Or, you know, like, if it fit contextually, like, in the conversation, then yeah, it makes sense. But, like, there's not really anything you could ask me that I would be like, and even if you did, I would just kind of brush it off and be like, hey, that's a pretty good question, but let's talk about it afterwards. You know, there's always a positive way to move from that. And I think a lot of content creators, like models that do what I do, maybe just aren't, like, they're good at what they do and they love doing what they do, but maybe they just don't, podcast formats aren't for them.
Yeah.
Because they want to know the beginning, the middle, the end.
Right.
And I totally get that. Like, I think social media has really made us not only models or, you know, like a content creator, it's made us have to be good business people and good public speakers. And that's a lot to ask of somebody. Like, that's like, it's too much. Like, can we just, you know, be a model, or can't we just, you know, why do we gotta be good at marketing now? It's such a strange way that the world is going that I do understand why sometimes people aren't into podcasts.
Yeah.
But then just decline.
Right.
Yeah. It's simple.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is it's like, you know, most podcasts aren't going to get butthurt if you say no. We all understand that either maybe time's a concern or somebody just doesn't want to, you know, because I could fully understand too, you know, like if we've been asked to be on podcasts before, and the first thing I always do is I will go listen to their show, because I want to see, is this something that fits me? Because I don't want to go on a show where maybe they have an extreme political view, especially if it's one I don't agree with, or, you know, or if they just talk about subjects I don't know anything about. It's like, hey, I'm probably not the right person for you, you know, but if I know someone who is, maybe I'll, you know, hey, maybe hit this person up, you know.
But it could be fun, Brian. You never know.
It could be
a fun game.
Yeah. But you know me, Tony, if someone wants to start engaging me in, like, arguments, I have a hard time backing out of them.
Oh, no.
So my strength is recognizing it and staying away from it. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll just stumble blindly into it.
Yeah.
You're like, I'll carry us through. It's fine. I'll carry the podcast interview.
Yep. Oh, man. Yeah. So awesome. I did want to ask you one question. Like, looking at your bio, one of the first things you mentioned in there is that you landed the Slovakian cover of Playboy at 18. How did that happen? Like, how do you end up on a Slovakian Playboy? Because you know, like around here, if it was on a U.S. one, it would be like, oh, you know, there was a casting call, or you send pictures in, or is it the same way, or does it work differently?
No. So this is actually another popular question I get all the time.
I figured so, yeah.
yeah, because I'm clearly not Slovakian. I'm very like German and white. So what happened is when I was 18, I was kind of like figuring out what I was going to do. And I was working like 80 million jobs, basically, always for a while. I had shot with a bunch of photographers, and I had learned that I could make money shooting with these photographers. And there was one of them who had paid me for a shoot, and he had connections to Playboy, like a few of the international covers. Like he knew people that worked there. He knew the guys that kind of like did the scouting for it.
Okay.
And a lot of times you'll see like a lot of American girls are the cover of these international magazines.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually because they have a connection and they kind of work things out. And, you know, every magazine cover obviously has a different story. But for mine, it's that I shot with this guy and I didn't really think anything was going to come of it. And like a month or so later, he had told me that the girl that was going to be the cover of June just decided she had like a come to Jesus moment and like wouldn't do it. Like she just didn't want to do it anymore. She was backing out and was just like totally changing her life. And they had seen my pictures because they were looking for somebody to replace her like really quickly, and they didn't really have a lot of options. So I guess they had scrolled through this guy's photos and like all these other photographer scouts, and they had seen my photos, and they were like, "What about this one? Like this one looks good, and they've got all the pictures ready, so let's do it." And it kind of was a shot in the dark. That it was a moment of being in the right place at the right time and knowing the right people, and then I was the cover of Playboy Slovakia.
Wow. All right. That
was fun.
I wondered because, like you said, it's like you see different, whether it was like back in the day, it was like FHM or Maxim or Playboy, whatever it was, and and there was always American girls on a lot of those foreign covers. You'd see them online, and it's like how does that even happen? Yeah. Like because it's like, well, it just seems kind of weird too. It's like, well, it's like, but then again, it's like, well, if Playboy in America had like a Brazilian model on the cover, a lot of people are like, ooh, so it's like, I don't know if that flips that way.
I never even thought about it like that.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Slovakians like, how exotic.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. So
what an exotic girl.
Yeah.
Caucasian,
right.
like just super white. But yeah, I mean, maybe they find that like American girls sell well.
I've just always wondered, and I've never had a chance to ask anybody. Years ago, I used to through DeviantArt. I used to talk to various photographers and different stuff, and I was in a few groups in there and got to have some really interesting conversations with photographers and models and stuff. So it was kind of I just ask questions all the time. I'm like, I have no in this world at all. It's totally foreign to me. And they were always great, oh yeah, this is, so it was a cool community for a long time, but I don't know.
Yeah. I remember DeviantArt.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That was like
never on it, but I knew a lot of people that were like really creative artists that were on there.
Yeah.
It's still a thing, right?
Yeah, it still exists. It's just, it's way different now. Like, I don't know. I haven't been active on there in years now, but the other day I got an email that was like, hey, you have a new notification. I'm like, okay.
You're like, all right.
Someone had added one of my drawings to their favorites or something. So I was like, oh, okay. That's cool.
Oh,
it is definitely still a thing. Look at that.
Yeah.
I haven't been on it in forever either.
Yeah. I used to be on there all the time because it was, like I said, I was in various groups on there, and they, like Twitter groups now, or whatever social media groups. It's like back then, that's where a lot of artists hung out because it was such a good site for art. Any type of art, whether photography, modeling, traditional illustration, animation, whatever it was great for that. But I don't know what probably they probably just use their Instagram and Patreon and all that stuff now, I would assume.
It makes sense, right?
Yeah. I mean, go where the audience already is.
Yeah, which is totally understandable, aside from the fact that DeviantArt was always pretty good about not being like heavy on censorship, unless it was like, like
explicit.
Yeah, like, or like kid stuff or, something illegal type stuff, But they were always good about trying to, not be censorship police because, they understand it's the art world and there's going to be nudity, whether people like it or not. It's like every traditional artist of, if they went to an art school, they've drawn naked people before.
Right.
They've seen it in person.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
nudity, what a thing, what a concept.
So awful. Yeah. I know. I ran screaming out of the room the first time I was in a class that had it. I was like, "What is this?" and just took off.
I didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
My eyes, you know.
Yeah.
Oh man.
What a thing.
Yeah.
What a concept.
Right.
Yep. Well, man, we've been chatting for almost an hour and a half already, guys.
Yeah.
I have one last thing
Time
to ask
flies.
you here, if you don't mind.
Crap.
So, with your Twitch, what games do you like to play?
Oh, that is a game.
What are your go-to?
A question I wanted to ask too.
Yeah, so I'm obsessed with Valheim right now, which is a Viking survival game.
Okay, I've heard of it. I have not played it, but I've heard of it.
Very popular right now. So I even have like a Viking helmet that I wear sometimes because I'm like so into it now. It's like my new personality is Viking.
It's a good personality to have.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I'm really big into Nintendo because I grew up playing Nintendo games. So I have a Switch. And clearly I play Animal Crossing. That's why I've got Tom Nook in the back.
Yep.
I see Yoshi as well.
Yeah.
Oh,
I've got
Kirby.
Yoshi over there.
All right.
Yeah.
What else do I got? I've
Man,
got
Kirby
Pokemon.
looks like he just ate something too. He's pretty puffed.
Love Kirby games. I used to play them all the time as a kid.
Those were a blast.
Right.
Yep.
I'm trying to think, like, what else am I playing a lot, like, recently? I've been playing, like, scary games because people like it when I get scared. So, I don't know if you've heard of Phasmophobia, which...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's a ghost hunting game where you use the tools to kind of figure out what ghost is haunting certain locations. I've played Devoured like once or twice, and that's basically Phasmophobia with jump scares, and I hate it. But everybody loves when I play because I get like, I'd scream a lot because it's very scary.
Right.
I don't like jump scares. Like I get nervous just thinking about it because I'm like,
yeah.
Stop. Like I don't like loud noises. I don't like things running at me. So that game usually freaks me out a lot. It's great. I'm a big Pokemon fan, so I've got like Pokemon Sword I've been playing. I got the new Pokemon Snap. What else? There's just so many games. Like I play all kinds of things. I haven't done any first-person shooters yet, just because I'm playing like the games that bring me like nostalgia first, and kind of enjoy those a little bit, and then I'm gonna branch out into more.
I don't blame you. I'd be doing the same thing too. It's like, hey, these are the games I really enjoy, or like you said, playing some of the scary games because the your fans enjoy watching you.
Plus, you got to keep your heart in check about those jump scares.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah.
I got to rewind to Kirby real quick because I just gotta throw out 3 words: Kirby Air Ride.
Ooh, Kirby Air Ride?
Best racing game ever. Am I right?
No way. I've never heard of it.
What, on the GameCube? I'm just old.
No,
it's all right.
I missed that. Oh my gosh. But I had a GameCube too.
Oh, it was amazing. I'd play it now.
I don't remember playing that.
What?
I'm sure I did if you had it. I'm sure I played it.
Did I have a fever dream? What happened?
Let me wait.
Yes, Tony, you've made it all up.
I mean, it was kind of like an on-the-rails racer, but it was amazing.
Tony, I think that was just one of your dreams when you were just sitting down with some paper and crayons. And
maybe. I mean, I've ingested so much caffeine like during this thing. I kind of feel like I'm playing it now. So.
Oh my God, I did play this game. I just didn't know that's what it was called.
All right.
It's that one.
That game. Best game ever.
Okay, I love that one. Yes. Where you got to ride the different starships.
Yeah.
Basically. Yeah. Oh my gosh. And the hybrid. Oh, so into it. Such a good game. Okay. Totally know what you're talking about.
All right.
I just
it wasn't just me.
Left the chat. It's fine.
Well, it happens. We run into that a lot when we'll talk about old games or something, or somebody else will mention one and we're like, we don't remember that. So of course, like you just did, we did the same thing, like look it up and be like, oh yeah, I remember that. The name just completely escaped my head for whatever reason.
We've been playing games since the original NES, basically. I mean,
oh man, Nintendo 64 was like my jam. But then like when the GameCube came out, I was so good at Super Smash Brothers Brawl. You better believe that Kirby, he was my go-to.
Nice.
Very nice.
So I've got a lot of hidden trinkets around my room of all the games I like to play. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, that's really cool. I like that. That you branched into Twitch and are just because one of the things I was going to ask you is when I first saw your schedule and stuff, I was going to be like, okay, so what do you do that's not like what do you do for fun that isn't one of these other things that you do, kind of a thing. But it's like, well, it seems like you have fun doing a lot of the things that you do anyway. So, it's
probably half the battle, really.
Yeah.
Basically, I'm kind of this weird person that like really enjoys what I do. Like everything that I do is I find some way to make it fun, and I just like love it all. So to me, it's like, I guess like my side things that I do for fun would be Twitch, because I don't make a lot of money off of it. And it's just like a nice way to connect with my fans.
Yeah.
And us talk about like the games that I enjoy playing and how I grew up playing with my brother who's got autism. So it's kind of, it's a nice like icebreaker, I guess, in a way that like if I'm ever stressed out or I have a lot going on, usually I find myself playing games.
Yeah.
Which is why first-person shooter hasn't been the first thing I go to, because I feel like that's pretty stressful.
Yeah, so. I actually, because of my anxiety and stuff, I found that over the years I've kind of veered away from games that I feel are really stressful, because it's just at the end of it, it's like I don't want to feel like I'm super anxious or super stressed. It's like the whole point of playing these is to have fun and be relaxed. But but every once in a while. You got to pick one of them.
I've gotten away from the online first-person shooters because there's just a bunch of, there's a lot of haters out there.
Yeah.
But man, you want to play some sweaty palm games? Play some Doom Eternal. Once that metal starts, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah. Everybody's been asking me to play COD, and every time I see like clips on like TikTok, or I'll see clips on YouTube of like girls playing COD, and I'm like, why do you guys want me to play this game?
Right.
These guys are all awful. They're like cussing at the girl for no reason, and
oh jeez,
like, they're awful, like just horrible sexist things. I'm like, why do you guys want me in that community?
Yeah.
I don't want to be part of that.
When I play, if I play those games, I mean, I've recently, Tony and I think both like deleted Call of Duty off our systems.
Yeah.
But I mute the chat, and I know it can be beneficial because hey, there's a guy this or someone's doing that, but I just don't care. I don't want to hear it, so I just mute.
I don't want to hear about all the stuff my mom hypothetically did.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
exactly.
I'm good.
That's why we don't play anymore, because I'm terrible. No, I'm not.
Exactly. Like, Brian, you know her.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely wouldn't.
If you hear about my mom, I'm good.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. It is always, it's tough because, you want to, no matter what it is that you do, you want to, you want the positive ends of it, and you want to keep that toxicity away from you. And certain things, obviously, and again, I'm sure, nothing new to you, it's there because like you said, why are you naked on Instagram? Like, why can't you just scroll past it? Why can't you just not, block me?
Why are you subscribed?
Yeah.
Yeah. YouTube is like, for me, I've seen, like, I know TikTok is kind of getting up there with the hate comments, but YouTube has always been a place where I can't read the comments anymore. Like, I don't. I have an assistant who helps me out. Yeah, and especially because like I have a try on haul channel, so I get a lot of positive feedback. But all it takes is like a few people to say something negative that really. Like, I try not to let it, like, hurt my feelings, but if somebody's there, like, calling me fat or calling me, like, a butterface, those things, like, do hurt. So I now, like, for when the YouTube video is going up and when it's premiering, I do my best to get back to everybody. But as soon as that's over, I basically have to, like, step away and not respond and answer because there's too much time for other people to write really hateful and hurtful things that don't serve me. It doesn't make me want to be a better person. It doesn't make me want to lose weight or
right. Yeah.
It doesn't make me like want to get plastic surgery. Like it just makes me like sad as a person that like, oh, maybe they are right. And I don't want to be thinking that way.
Right.
So I just kind of don't let that be there. Just don't read it.
That's great. That's the smartest attitude. Anytime I've talked with somebody, if they talk about getting negative feedbacks on their podcast or whatever, I'll always be like, well, is it constructive criticism or is it just a troll? If it's a troll, throw it away. If it's constructive, then it's up to you whether that inspires any change or if you just go, and also throw it away, but, but I was like, you got to know the difference or just don't pay attention to what they're posting.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of the meh.
Yeah. Me too. Me too. All right.
I feel that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've kept you on here for a while, and I know you have something else you got to do tonight.
We've seen that calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
But
I have a meeting in like 30 minutes, so I'm like, all right.
Yeah. So I really appreciate you jumping on and talking with us. This has been a blast.
No
It's been so much fun.
Good, clean fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. Let me know if you need a filler. I'm usually around, despite my calendar.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Can I just throw out an idea for you?
That's going to be her response. I'll be like, hey, do you want to come back on the show? And she'll just send me a picture of the calendar with it. Like, well, that's a no.
Hard pass, bud.
Oh, no.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Yeah.
For your future seminar, I got a title for you.
Ooh, okay.
Dare to be successful.
Hey, I mean, yeah, it's definitely going to have a dare somewhere in there.
It should.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I like that, though. Dare to be successful.
You could have the old DARE logo. You could totally co-opt it.
The drug prevention program? Yeah. They're totally into that.
Yeah. I'm sure they'll love that. And their lawyers, I'm sure, won't send you a cease and desist immediately.
It'll be all right.
That's
like,
funny.
I'm celebrating the program, guys.
Yeah. I don't do any drugs.
Yeah.
I'm high on life.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, we don't like the high talk. Like, jeez. Yeah.
Are you talking about me? That's my last name.
Yeah. No one likes talking about you. Yeah.
Your last name's Hi?
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
I've heard all the jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, good. I'm going to get a picture for Instagram, so be sure to smile.
Oh.
Or don't smile. Do whatever you like doing.
We'll look hard.
Look hard? What does that mean?
Like tough. I don't know. I'm trying to talk street. Come on now.
Any credibility you had is gone.
I don't have any credibility, Brian.
All right, you're in the negative.
There we go. Awesome. I'll tag you guys. Wait, you have an Instagram for your podcast, right?
Yeah, oddly enough, I didn't message you through that for some reason.
Yeah, right?
I don't know why.
Where?
I don't know why I didn't jump over there real quick and be like, hey, podcast, but
this
I
is
didn't.
us and stuff.
Yeah, right?
So
We got it.
Yeah,
I'm trying to find it.
I believe it's just salty language, right, Tony?
I do believe so.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. The was making it not work. That will do it,
All right. All right. Well, that was fun.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed talking to her, and it's always cool when you meet people for the first time and they're just excellent human beings.
Yeah, and fun to talk with. Got to ask some stuff, and hopefully, like I said originally, it was like hopefully some people will appreciate that the stuff that these models and influencers and whatever do. There's a lot that goes into what they do.
Yeah, it's not just as simple as, I'm going to just take a nice picture of myself and put it up there.
Yeah.
It's just
that you've got to interact and you've got to try to post every so often. And she's making videos and editing her own videos and stuff. There's a whole lot that goes on behind the scenes on this stuff that people don't get. Similar to what we do, it's like, even though I don't edit a whole bunch, there's still quite a bit that goes on behind the scenes between what we both do. For all this stuff. So,
despite the fact we say we don't do anything, we do stuff.
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh man.
But
it's a good time though.
Right. I forgot to mention while we were recording and everything, but all her links will be like her link tree will be in the show notes, so that you can just click on that if you want to go follow her or anything. And
it's going to be deceptive, but on the video, it's basically floating off to the left. But don't click it; it's not going to do anything.
Well, they can click.
Don't click those links that were over there.
Don't tell them what to do. They can do what they want. They can click all they want.
Click them, you son of bitches. Click them. See what happens.
Right. Well, speaking of links, you can find us over at saltylanguage.com. If you want to hit us up on the socials, the show can be found at salty_language on Twitter. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Stunami.
You can find me on Twitter at Monotony, and you can find me at Instagram at The Monotony. Monotony. And Salty Language is on TikTok. And there's going to be a video of this interview on YouTube at Salty Language Pod. Hopefully, by the time this episode comes out, it should also be posted simultaneously. We'll see, I guess.
Right.
Yeah, it should be. It should be.
We'll see. We'll see. No.
And expect actually more videos soon.
Yeah, hopefully.
Because I got to say, that was an inspirational talk, Brian.
I know. It was. It's one of the things I like I said, while we were talking, it's one of the things I always liked about following her. She's very positive. She doesn't push toxicity. She's a fun, good follow. And listen,
stand up young lady.
Yeah. So there you go. Go give her a follow. And like I said, all the links will be in the show notes. And so there you go. Hope you enjoyed Enthusiast episode 51. And hopefully we'll have some more coming before long.